Oh, dude, this looks awesome. You know, I was actually thinking about making a show where I like review and play every Spider-Man game leading up to this one.
But isn't there like a bunch of really bad games?
What? No, dude, it's Spider-Man. How could they mess up Spider-Man?
Let's finally finish this. Hello everyone, it is Hunter from Gaming by Gamers and welcome back to Web Series episode 17. On today's episode we're going to be finishing our review of Marvel's Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, go ahead and click this button right up here and that'll take you to it. Just a reminder that this video will have spoilers in it, so if you haven't played the game just yet and you still want to, stop the video right now. With all that being said, let's get on to the review.
So I left off the last episode talking about what I didn't like in the story missions, and really the only thing was the MJ and Miles parts. But I did say in the last video that I really liked the characters, I just didn't like how much they slowed down the gameplay. As characters, they are amazing. MJ and Peter's journey was so well written, I really felt every high and low.
Sorry to cook and run.
Did you just leave your clothes on the kitchen floor?
Where do you want me to,
Just the couch is fine.
see you later?
Yeah.
That's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
And while Miles wasn't in it as much, I loved his parallels to Peter and how much of a mentor he sees Peter as. Honestly, all the characters were very well written, but the game obviously focuses on these two in particular. Getting back on track, I wanted to point out some of the missions in the game that I absolutely loved. Oh, and yeah, I know the last episode made it seem like I kinda didn't like this game, but I just wanted to get all of my complaints out of the way before I showered this game in love. Because spoiler alert, I love this game.
This was the longest game I played for the show by far, so I don't have time to go over everything that happened in the story, but I wanted to bring up a few of my favorite missions.
So the first mission I want to highlight is Wheels Within Wheels. In this mission, Spider-Man has to work with a police officer in order to find a hidden stash of weapons. The level has some pretty cool puzzles in it, and it's a nice break from the gameplay without slowing down the pace too much. Also, the chemistry between Spidey and the police officer is amazing. In just one mission, I really cared about the guy and wanted to see him and Spider-Man team up more. Once you find the weapon stash, you have to fight the demons who are trying to get away. At one point, a demon catches you off guard and Officer Davis saves you. He's a super humble guy, and because he saves Spider-Man, he gets an award at the city hall. The next mission has you realize Spider-Man hasn't slept the entire game, so you need to go back home and get some rest. When you get there, you find out you've been evicted and all of your stuff has been thrown away. The entire mission is just you swinging and going around calling the trash company, searching for your stuff in garbage cans and through garbage trucks. Moments in the game like this one really show how well they understand the character. Peter is constantly struggling between being Spider-Man and Peter Parker. One wrong misstep on either side can throw his whole world out of whack. This was just a really relatable scene. I mean, maybe not to the extreme, but a lot of people have had money troubles and that's what makes Spider-Man so popular. He's a real character who has real problems. Moving on to the next mission, we show up at Officer Davis's award ceremony. Here is where we find out that he's Miles Morales' dad. During the ceremony, Norman Osborn gets this call.
Thank you for help, but you won't be able to save them.
Listen, jackass, I get threats like this twice a week.
Oh, I guess he's the mayor of New York and a YouTuber.
Then all of a sudden the Demon Clan is there and they start suicide bombing the ceremony. This really caught me off guard. The comics are pretty dark at times, but none of the games or movies have even gotten close to this point. And I was very surprised they were able to put this in a T-rated game. Peter gets knocked out from the explosion, so you play as Miles, who tries to help find his dad. Once you get to the podium, you find out that he was killed in the explosion.
Why do I ruin everything I touch?
Alright, let's move on to the next mission before my channel gets demonetized. This is one of my favorites. It's at a Halloween party and basically everyone is dressed up as Spider-Man or a Spider-Man villain. You have to try and find someone and you end up encountering someone cosplaying as Mysterio, Vulture, Rhino, and the Lizard. It's really fun just to walk around and look what everyone's... Hey,
I never said they could put me in the game.
The rest of the mission, you're punching and kicking your way through bad guys, and it even mixes up the gameplay by throwing in this part, which is very reminiscent of Spider-Man Edge of Time. This is easily one of the better levels in the game for the setting alone. This next mission is really just the gameplay loop of the last Halloween mission, but this time you're scaling the Oscorp Tower. This was a pretty cool mission, but I really just wanted to talk about what you see when you get to the top. You go onto an Oscorp computer and then you see this. It's a PowerPoint that lays out all his evil deeds? What the hell? That's all I really wanted to point out about this level. This is just dumb. Getting back to some real missions, let's talk about the mission Out of the Frying Pan. In this mission, there's a prison break at Rikers Island, so Yuri and Spider-Man fly over there with a helicopter. This is just one of the best action-packed levels in the game. You have to stop all these escapees from attacking the guards, and once you get that situation under control, the raft, which is holding super criminals, explodes and now you have to fight a bunch of them. It was super intense to be chasing after someone who posed a real threat to Spider-Man, and this leads into a trap where Electro and the rest of the Sinister Six are there to fight Spider-Man. This is also where you learn that Dr. Octavius has turned evil and is leading the Sinister Six. They defeat Spider-Man and give him a warning to leave them alone and let them destroy the city. We're gonna skip pretty far ahead towards the second to last mission in the game. You fight a ton of demons and Silver Sable even ends up helping you. Then you have your final fight with Mr. Negative. He shares the spotlight with Doc Ock as the main bad guy in the game. This is one of the coolest settings throughout the entire story. The fight was still pretty formulaic, but I enjoyed the visuals. Once you beat Mr. Negative, Doc Ock comes out and beats Spider-Man to a pulp. Once Spider-Man is beaten and brought to the brink of death, we are brought to Feast, the homeless shelter Aunt May helps run, and the doctor saved Peter's life. Oh yeah, and by the way, the city is also infected with a poisonous chemical called Devil's Breath that Doc Ock releases, and most of the city is infected, including Aunt May. And the final mission is the last one I'm going to be talking about. In this mission, Mary Jane suggests that you use your mind to help you stop Doc Ock. We go back to his lab and create a new armored suit, and we head out to fight him. This battle takes place on top of the Oscorp building, and it's such a great fight. Again, nothing really original here, but the entire game builds up to this moment, and it sucks to have to fight someone you know you cared about in the game. Everything changes though when he admits that he knew Peter was under the suit the whole time, and this is where the acting truly shines. The raw emotion on his face is heartbreaking. Peter finding out that Otto would almost beat him to death, even after he knew who he really was, just destroys him. You end up beating Otto on the side of the Oscorp building, and you get the only cure for Devil's Breath. Now that you have it, you head down to Feast and find out that Aunt May is dying, and Peter has to choose between helping the rest of the city or letting his aunt die. He makes the right but hard choice, and that's game. There's a really cool after credits scene where Miles admits to Peter that he has powers, and Peter shows that he has them too.
Forget what I said earlier, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
So that was Marvel's Spider-Man. What a game. There's still a ton of stuff I didn't even cover, like all the cool alternate costumes, the photo mode, Easter eggs, and even more. Just know, this really was the best Spider-Man game I have ever played. And honestly, it was a long road to get here. The first Spider-Man game we reviewed came out 36 years before this, and it took us 30 games to get here. This game was built on the foundation of games that came before it, and the character itself, who's been around for more than 50 years. Spider-Man really has come so far in all of the mediums, from comics, movies, and video games, and I can't wait to see where the future leads us. I don't think any game can achieve perfection, but I don't think that means that no game can be a 10. So after considering everything, I'm going to be giving Marvel's Spider-Man 10 Spider-Men out of 10.
Well, it's finally over. I played through and reviewed every single Spider-Man game. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I still can't believe it. And honestly, I'm most impressed that I went through the entire series without saying a game makes you feel like Spider-Man. Wait, shit!